so glad that you're here tonight. My name is Mary Tepfer, and I would love to know if you have ever been here before. How many of you, is this your first time here at Ladies and Lattes? Raise your hand. Praise God. Oh my goodness. That is wonderful. We're always thrilled when new people come. So I would like, first of all, to have everyone who had some involvement in the, whether it was making coffee or doing the sound or setting up in any way, or involved in childcare, involved in the planning of Ladies and Lattes, please raise your hand. If you were a greeter, raise your hand. Everybody, raise your hand if you were involved in Ladies. Awesome. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. We are so thankful to those of you who put a lot of hard energy. A lot of energy. I don't know if it's hard energy or just energy. Anyway, we're thankful for you. Okay, so we have done Ladies and Lattes for every other month. And so most recently, in the past couple times we've done Ladies and Lattes, we talked about how to handle stress and how to handle money. And no one helps us with our stress and with spending our money more than friends, right? So we thought, well, now it's time to talk about friends. And so we're going to actually talk about how to foster fabulous friendships. And that's what happens here at Ladies and Lattes. We talk with a panel of women, eventually, about the topic of the evening, and we see how God has moved in their lives, and we walk away, hopefully, a little richer for having shared in the conversation. So I always spend time between gatherings doing some research for the next, I really mull over the next topic and try to think about how to tackle it with our panel. I read books, I look for quotes, I comb through video clips, and what I found this time is that a lot of people, when it comes to friends, they talk about types of friends. So I thought, what a great way to get things started by looking at these sweet little girls here and maybe looking at them as an individual friend first, a type of friend. Okay, so we're going to explore each type. The first type is the endless talker friend. And if you are friends with me, I know you think that's what I am. I really do not ever stop talking, and that's why they gave me a microphone, I think. If you call me and ask me how I'm doing, I give you a 30-minute response. I truly do. You can put the phone down, run to your laundry room, throw in a load, come back, pick up the phone. I'll still be going at it, totally unaware that you've left, except for one friend. One friend of mine doesn't even, she just has a whole conversation with like her husband or her kids or something, and doesn't think that I can, she tries to whisper, which I can hear. So put it on mute if you're gonna do other things, please, to help us out. And just every now and then just say, oh, really? Or wow, you don't say, just to make us feel like you're listening. But I would take the endless talker friend any day over the non-committal friend. You ask a non-committal friend, hey, you want to get a pedicure this weekend? Or you want to stop for coffee after church? You want to catch a movie? You try everything, you think of everything. You want to invent ways to create world peace? Come on. And no matter what you ask, they're always evasive, aren't they? I don't know. Not sure. I'll have to let you know. Well, if you have that kind of friend, maybe if you knew the right formula to get her to commit, you would be more successful at it. So one of the video clips I found was a friendship formula. They call it the friendship algorithm from Big Bang Theory. So let's listen to see what, yes.
Good, you're just in time. I believe I've isolated the algorithm for making friends.
Sheldon, there is no algorithm for making friends.
Hear him out. If he's really onto something, we could open a booth at Comic-Con, make a fortune. See, my initial approach to Kripke had the same deficiencies as those that plagued Stu the Cockatoo when he was new at the zoo.
Stu the Cockatoo?
Yes, he's new at the zoo.
It's a terrific book. I've distilled its essence into a simple flow chart that will guide me through the process.
Have you thought about putting him in a crate while you're out of the apartment?
Hello, Kripke. Yeah, Sheldon Cooper here. It occurred to me that you hadn't returned any of my calls because I hadn't offered any concrete suggestions for pursuing our friendship. Yeah, perhaps the two of us might share a meal together. Yeah, I see. Well, then perhaps you'd have time for a hot beverage. Popular choices include tea, coffee, cocoa. I see. No, wait, don't hang up yet. But what about a recreational activity? I bet we share some common interests. Tell me an interest of yours. Really? On actual horses? Tell me another interest of yours. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have no desire to get in the water till I absolutely have to. Tell me another interest of yours.
Uh-oh, he's stuck in an infinite loop.
I can fix it.
It's interesting, but isn't ventriloquism by definition a solo activity? Yeah. Tell me another interest of yours. Is there any chance you like monkeys? Yeah, what is wrong with you? Everybody likes monkeys. Hang on, Kripke. A loop counter and an escape to the least objectionable activity. Howard, that's brilliant. I'm surprised you saw that.
Gee, why can't Sheldon make friends?
All right, Kripke, that last interest strikes me as the least objectionable, and I would like to propose that we do that together. Tomorrow. Yes, I'll pay. All right, goodbye. All right. Time to learn rock climbing.
Oh, goodness. So are you taking notes? That's how you do it. Just create a little flow chart like that for yourselves. Okay, so now, should I be, no? And then there are those friends who do more before noon than you do all week. You call your Martha Stewart friend on the phone and ask her what she's been up to, and she says, well, I put the kids on the bus and then went right to work on my teapot cozies. I was only able to make 12 today before I made homemade bread with thyme-infused butter and 3 lasagnas for the neighbors. And by then it was almost 11. So I delivered my lasagnas and then went downtown to pick up litter and to plant a garden of lovely hyacinths at the courthouse before I was off to the rescue mission to serve lunch. And now I'm working on dinner with my family. Nothing fancy, just something I found on Pinterest. A little beef Wellington with roasted fingerling potatoes and bacon-wrapped asparagus, and just a simple chocolate souffle for dessert. How about you? I've been folding laundry all day while watching a CSI Miami marathon on TV. If you'd like, I'll bring you the empty detergent bottle over later so you can fill it with water and turn it into wine. Okay. How many of you have a Martha Stewart friend in your life, or maybe who are the Martha Stewarts? No one wants to own up to. Oh, they're pointing. See, I knew people would point to the Martha. Judy, embrace your Martha Stewartness. Mandy, she's feeling left out. Mandy's a Martha Stewart. Anyway, we are so thankful you Martha Stewarts who are here, because we know it was killing you to put down your crocheting and your gourmet cooking for the evening to join us. So we'll wrap this up quickly so you can conquer the world. And in case you were worried, when you had to step away from the phone for a minute, the Endless Talker is still going strong. And then there is the, my kid is so much better than your kid friend. I know, I'm stepping on toes, I'm sorry. So you happen to mention that you have to take your kid to karate later. You just say it in passing. But this seems to invite this friend to tell you how her kid mastered karate at the age of 3 and is now on to mastering jujitsu. Or when you complain that your kid could be just a little more focused in math, your friend tells you that her kid was a math Olympian and helped his teacher rewrite the curriculum. So no matter what you say, this friend can't help herself. So thank God for this crazy weather we've had, because now you have a topic to talk about and not talk about kids altogether. And then we have the needy complainer friend. Don't you love that picture? She says, I don't know what I'm going to do. I woke up this morning and saw that I chipped a nail. And when in the world am I going to find time to fix that with my boss breathing down my neck to meet that unreasonable deadline for that project we had no business taking on? And of course, I don't even get to eat lunch as it is, let alone find time for a manicure. If only my folks lived nearby, I'd have more help with the kids and more time for myself. But I guess it's just not in the cards for me to be happy now. Blah, blah, blah. This friend just loves misery, so you hand her tissues, and while she's blowing her nose, you roll your eyes. And we have those. But the crazy adventurous friend makes up for it, right? Out of the blue, your crazy, adventurous, nothing is impossible friend says something like, so I was thinking we should ditch work today and drive across the country. We'll stop at Graceland, of course, and maybe do a zip line through the Tennessee mountains, and then we'll hit Nashville on the way home and go to some honky-tonk place and do karaoke. What do you say? I'm in. And you know she's nuts, and you're in your brain trying to picture the schedule of how you're supposed to organize your life to be able to do that, but you find yourself saying, okay. And you have no idea. Why? She's just so convincing. Oh, here she is again, the endless talker. You find yourself snapping your fingers to get your child's attention so the child could go ring the doorbell and you can hold the phone up to where it rings. Like the minute Katie learned how to push like she was tall enough to reach the doorbell, I trained her. Because believe it or not, endless talkers do have their own endless talker friends. I know, it's hard to believe. And you say, oh, endless talker friend, I'm so sorry, someone's at the door, bye. Endless talking friend. All right, so there are many more friends I could have chosen for that. But those were just the ones that, seem to come up over and over again in it's all research, for the sake of research. And you're probably thinking, how is this helping? We are not going to foster fabulous friendships if we just keep picking on our friends, right? I mean, all you've accomplished is to make me want to ditch my friends and start over. So I say, no, do not do that. You must absolutely stay friends with that diverse mix of challenging people. Because why? Why should we stay friends with people who sometimes drive us crazy? Well, because we need to have other people who have flaws in our lives so that we feel better about ourselves. But we also crave people who are very different from ourselves, right? Because they inspire us to do new things. They make us want to be a better person, like the Martha Stewart friend, right? She keeps you from being a couch potato because you're try to keep up with her. And the crazy adventurous friend pushes you to step outside of your comfort zone, doesn't she? And for every needy friend that you have, there are patient friends in your life who have listened to your neediness before, right? And the non-committal friend teaches you not to overcommit yourself, which you're very capable of doing. And the friend with the amazing kid reminds you that it's not polite to brag about your child, no matter how tempting it might be. And, the endless talkers. Well, sometimes she's witty in the middle of all of that yapping. So you can't help but hang in there to find out what she's going to say. The truth of the matter is, I probably am, at any given time, one of those friends, at some point, and so anybody could point that finger at me. And we all could be better at working on friendship. At your seat, in fact, you will find a friendship survey that at some point, we don't want you to miss out on the entertainment, so you can take that home. Or maybe during fellowship time later, you can talk that through with your table mates. But we thought that you would like to see areas where maybe you could grow as a friend. And on the back, there are ways that you can decide who might be a candidate to be a closer friend that maybe is only in the budding friendship stage at this point. So we just wanted you to be able to learn and grow from this experience, because that's the purpose of tonight. And so we have several sets of really good friends here who are here to talk about how they foster fabulous friendships with each other. And so I'd like for you to welcome Stacy Gavitt and Mandy Armitage, who are friends, and Tia Saferno and Julie Silker, who are friends, and Susan Burns and Marie James, who are friends. So thank you for coming. All right, so let's get things started with the group closest to me here. How did you, Stacy and Mandy, develop your friendship?
Well, oh, Canadian. That's okay. Yes. Mandy and I became friends through working with the youth group when her and Paul came to Northmar and became the youth pastor and wife. I was working with the youth group as a sponsor, and we kind of hit it off right away. In fact, there was another woman who was another sponsor who, before I even met them, came up to me, and she was part of their interview process, and she comes up to me and she says, "I think you guys are going to be great friends." And I hadn't even met Mandy yet. Aww. So I think the Lord knew. Yeah, yeah. The two of you together. Yep.
That's wonderful. Okay, Todd's coming, maybe for sound improvement, but anyway. Okay, so that's great. And Julie or Tia, how did you two develop a friendship?
Well, it's kind of fun.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, good.
There we are.
Bear with us, sorry. We normally only have maybe like 4 panelists up here, so having 6 has just thrown everyone into like, mass chaos. So, okay.
Thanks.
Yes.
Mass chaos. We actually met, we were just talking about it this morning. It was 2000, it was the year 2000, and we actually met right here in this room.
Oh.
So it's kind of neat. She was leading.
Oh, yeah. Aww.
Give the proper moment for pause there, sorry. But she was leading worship, and I was doing something with TLC as well, and we used to meet back in the nursery, and that's how we kind of got to know each other, was just praying and getting to know each other as we prayed for ladies coming in. And we used to talk for hours on the phone during that season of our life, going, wow, I'm cleaning out my cupboards and cleaning out, I wonder what God wants me to do with all this extra time. Wish we could go back a few years that have a little bit more balance with the time, but that's how we met.
That's awesome. So TLC, for those who are new with us, TLC is a group, it's called Teaching...
Tuesday Ladies.
Or Tuesday something.
They keep changing it.
They changed
I thought it was Teaching and Learning
Yes.
Connection or something like that. Tuesday Lady Connection. Something about ladies connecting and learning.
They
on
chose
Tuesdays.
it so that you would remember it. That's why they chose it.
Tuesdays. So it's a Tuesday morning group. You are all invited. You can come on Tuesday mornings at 9:30, and you would meet maybe someone like Tia up here who would be doing some praise and worship, and then there will be a speaker, and then after that there would be a time to break off into smaller groups and to study something together. So just food for thought. So they met at one of those. So see, you can meet a friend. If you need a friend, you come to TLC. Okay. How about you two?
Are we on?
I don't know.
No. Hello?
Yay!
I guess it's your turn to talk
It's
then.
my turn to talk, okay. Well, Susan and I met at Kent State Trumbull. We were both students there, but we didn't really develop our friendship until later when our kids got older. And
Yeah, and she invited me to TLC, so
What does that stand for?
We don't know.
I don't know.
I always thought it was tender loving care because I always felt loved when I came to TLC, and I loved the time with the ladies, and it was a time away from the kids, so that's what it meant to me. So.
Good answer, Marie. I think that's our final answer on that.
Because if not, the drawer
So
dropped
that's
out.
wonderful. So you were able to mix the, I'm sorry, Julie, what did you say? It's just, the microphone thing is, okay. Anyway, so TLC is where you met, but you also met at school.
Yeah, we went to school together, and our kids were in nursery together, and so it was like, I don't know, 2002?
Yeah.
So these have been friendships that have been going on for a long time. What year did you guys meet?
2001.
Wow. So we're going on 10 years at least for all of them. Good. Okay. So how in the world do you carve out time for friendships? Because that's been the big bugaboo lately, at least in my life, is trying to figure out how in the world I have, friends, believe it or not. Katie made me a friendship bracelet, though, because she wanted to make sure you thought I at least had friends. So how do you carve out time with your friends? How are you intentional in making sure that each and every one of your friends feels loved?
Stacy and I, we love, to do crafts. And so we are always one of those people that love to just sit around and do nothing. Not that we have a ton of time to do that, but we always, hey, once the kids go to bed, you want to come over and we'll work on this, or we'll do this. And she likes to make cards and scrapbook, and I like to do jewelry. So we just sit there at the table for sometimes 4-5 hours and just hang out, chat, catch up, do some crafts. Sometimes we do getaways where our husbands take the kids for us and we can go overnight and work on crafts. And yeah, we're the crazy road trip friends. We like to convince each other to do stupid things like we were coming back from, where were we coming back from? Kansas. We were driving back.
We're not talking like Cleveland. We're talking road
Yeah. Coming back from Kansas, we see this sign in Missouri, I think, and it said the world's largest wind chime. So we got to stop. So we looked at each other and we're like, let's do it. And it was like 7, 8, 10 miles off the interstate. I'm not kidding. It is the world's largest wind chime. It was at least 5 stories tall.
Wow.
It was huge. So we were like, woo, high five for the wind chime. Yeah, so that's us, and we love to do fun things like that. Yep. No? All right. Is that it?
That's good. That's good. So that's a memory you will never forget, and that's the whole key. And it brings you, builds you, makes you closer, brings you closer together. And that's why it's so important to do activities with your friends. You know, it's nice to call and to connect, but I think the togetherness really matters. Anyone else have something to share about activities with friends and how you carve out time for that? Anyone?
So
Yeah.
we both wrote down tea, and we didn't like collude on our answers or anything. So she brought her answers, I brought mine, and we both have tea for the first one because there's
Tea,
always
as
tea.
in drinking tea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's always time for a cup of tea.
That's right.
In the middle of any crazy day.
They schedule it in England.
They do.
It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll call and say, hey, you want to come over for tea? Yeah.
That's
Bring
wonderful.
the kids.
Well, so bring the kids. Okay, so don't be deterred if you have children. Include the kids.
Lock them in a
Throw
room.
them in the pickup and yeah. Awesome.
I don't think they
How about you two? What makes you bond?
Well, we work together. So that's a problem. We don't have to carve out time. We saw that question. We thought we do not need that. We see each other more than we see our husbands. And some of you have that, where your friends are, you're with them every day. So we have a lot of time together, which leads us to other questions that you might have.
Yes, okay. So, yes, I didn't mean to put you on the spot by any means. Did you have something else you were going to say, Mandy?
Just something fun. That's all right.
Oh, we don't have time for humor here.
Julia has something.
Yes,
Well,
please.
I was just going to say, when we're working together, it's a different kind of a situation because we're always together. So even when we get to do business trips together, we just got back from a trip a couple weeks ago, and the friendship time was fun because I picked the top floor all the way down at the hotel because you never want noise, right? So we get up on the 5th floor, and her and I look at each other, and we're like, let's do it. So we raced all the way down. And we did it almost every time we ran down the hallway. So. Do you want to know who won?
I did not win.
twin, and I have the longest legs. She's so much shorter than me. And then I'm laughing so hard that I have to stop. She's way down there by that.
I want to know which one peed the most.
We weren't going to talk. This is on YouTube.
You don't have to answer.
Where was this event? Where did you say? What city?
Oh, where were we? I don't remember.
We were in West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach. Oh, we're crying a river for you. I was going to say
somewhere up north, but then I'd lie.
I just think it's ironic that they wanted to get away from the noise, and then they were the noise. I yell at my kids for that, running down.
We were quiet. It was just a quiet run.
That is awesome. Okay, so just to try to make sure that you're learning something from this experience, Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." Right? So how do you help your friend to grow without being judgmental in your approach? How do you sharpen your friend? So Tia and Julie, I think you had something you might want to say about this one.
This is good because we're together so much. We definitely see all the sides of each other. And we were talking about this because we do have conflict and we have different times when we are watching each other in our very real human side. And I think what we've found that helps each other grow, what she does for me, I know, is she times it really well. She knows if there's something she's going to talk to me about, she needs to time it. We know each other's ups and downs, both monthly and emotional, and even in the day. And I know when it's a better time to talk to her about different things. And I think the bottom line we've realized with each other is we trust each other. We really trust that we really care about each other, and we trust that we want the best and that we're really good people at heart. So then if I take something wrong, I stop and say, wait, she probably didn't really mean it that way. Or I know she understands if I'm shorter with her or I don't have time, that it really wasn't my heart. So I think the bottom line is loving each other enough to really have that. We really trust each other. So it smooths it out, and then it helps us grow. I think we really grow that way.
So if your friend snips at you or whatever, when because it will happen. You know that it may not really be a pattern, but when when it happens once in a while, you have to give grace because you would expect the same in return from your friend. So that's what it sounds like to me. Good. Okay. Anyone else have something to add about how you sharpen your friend? Something that you do? No? Yeah. Go for it.
I guess Mandy and I, we do hold each other accountable on a lot of things, whether it's our marriage. We kind of have a no gossiping policy where we hold each other accountable for that. At least we try to do that. And it helps, too, that our husbands are friends. And I think to touch on a little bit of what Tia was saying, like if Mandy were to say something to me that kind of maybe struck me the wrong way, or I felt like, what did she mean by that? I remind myself, is she a good intention person? She has good intent. I know she didn't mean it that way. So I think those are good questions to ask yourself. Is my friend a good intention person? She didn't mean that, how it came across.
No, that's very important. Is there anything that comes to mind where you really feel like you grew as a result of something your friend said? Your friend brought something to mind, and it doesn't have to necessarily be this friendship, although I know you are closest with the people up here. But is there something that maybe your friend said and you thought, wow, I never really thought of it that way, or that really helped me to become a better person? Anybody have an example? No, I'm putting them on the spot. I didn't think I would be, but I guess.
Yeah, that question was not on the list.
Well, it says, how do you sharpen your friends? So I thought that was where we were going to go with that.
The first thing that came to my mind is when you're told that you're that kind of friend or that kind of friend, and you're like, oh, no, I'm not. I don't want to be that kind of friend. I don't want to be the needy friend or the constantly talking friend, and you strive to not be that anymore.
I only pointed at you when they had the adventurous friend. I did not point out for needy or complaining or none of that.
Okay.
You don't even excessively talk. No.
So how is she the adventurous friend?
She is crazy.
I bet they don't have a wind chime story.
Yeah,
No, do you want to hear
competitive
our
friend over
story?
here.
My crazy story. I invite her to come to camp with me, with Girl Scouts, on a horrible rainy weekend. It's a weekend 2 years ago. We had all the tornadoes and all the tornado warnings. We're in the covered wagons at Sugarbush with no outdoor shelter near us.
They're
And
made
it's-
of metal. They have big metal and there's lightning flashing. I'm not a camper. I'm not a camper.
And there's 11 covered wagons, and we were in 2. And they're meant to sleep 4, and there were 20 of us. The thunderstorms and the lightning, it was crazy.
I had like 3 girls in my bed shaking the whole night.
So you needed a hotel at West Palm Beach.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes. Next time, give us a call.
Yes, our adventures have always been outside camping, hiking in the snow, in the rain.
Hiking in the nighttime when there's creepy noises.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. If there's not a hotel involved, it's just, I can't do it. I understand. Okay, well, how do you speak to people? Because obviously it seems as though you've had no problem with getting to know each other and blossoming your friendship. So what do you say to those people who have a really hard time making friends? I mean, and you said, Tia, something about trust and allowing yourself to trust another person, but I think there's a vulnerability in there where that has to happen. So why, first of all, how do you speak to people who have a hard time making friends, and is there some sort of vulnerability that has to happen to make that possible? And I think Susan and Marie, you guys wanted to speak about this one.
Well, I know that I am one of those people who I feel like I have a hard time making friends because it's hard for me to be vulnerable. I have like this need to control. And so you can't control and be vulnerable at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, when I find friends who accept me exactly as I am with all my faults and flaws and all the wonderfulness that is me, it allows me to be vulnerable with them and makes for good friendship.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And I want to add to that, part of it was about life stages triggering the type of friends. I think that as we go in and out seasons, we have different types of friends. When you're single, you have your single friends, and when you're married, or then when you're married with children, you have new friends. And I think that that helps a lot. Like with Susan and I, we're in that life stage together where we both homeschool our kids, we both come to church, we're doing the art and the carpooling, and it takes a village to raise a city. She drops off, I pick up. We just have a great system down. It works great for us.
Well, what happens if, once you get through this life stage and you move on? Do you feel like you will always be friends, or do you feel like you might drift when the life stage is behind you, but that's okay, and that maybe 20 years from now, once that you can drift back and pick up where you left off? Or, let's talk about that for a minute, because there's sometimes you do lose touch with friends, and is that okay?
I feel like for us, there have been times where we have drifted a little bit, life just gets busy and you don't make that time, but we've always found it pretty easy to just pick up, right where we left off.
Yeah, do you have something to add to that? Good. No, that's good.
I'm just thinking of a couple friends that are here sitting that are friends of mine that I'm not in the same season of life that we were, but because of the trust and because of the vulnerability that you develop in friendships, I know I'll always be dear friends with several of you that are here. So I know that, your seasons may change, but sometimes it's just the time that you get to spend together, but not the connection of the heart,
Good. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good.
And I think, too, that we all we all can't be best friends with everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think we all need different kinds of friends, people to pray with, people to laugh with, people to have fun with, people to talk with and unload with. And so I think there's so many different roles for friends that not everybody can be a best friend. Mm-hmm. And you don't need everybody to be a best friend. Right. Yeah. And so I think, too, for Stacy and I, she has seen me, and I'm one of those people that I don't like to be vulnerable. I don't like to this is what you get. But I've learned to do that over the years, and I think Stacy has seen me and my house in disarray. And, it's just, this is who I am. My floor is not going to be swept if you come over. There's going to be, you walk by and the dust is going to roll up and follow you down the hallway. But that's who I am. And so, with Stacy, I think it's just, this is who I am. And she has accepted me, and my vulnerability. And just, this is what you get if you're going to be my friend.
No, and that's good. And I think that's so important because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, don't we? And it really doesn't have to be that way. If they're a true friend, they don't care if your house is not straightened and if there are issues that you're dealing with. And I got to thinking, reading some books helps when you're studying for, to be up here. And when I think about who the ultimate friend is, it's Jesus. And, he had 12 friends, plus Mary and Martha and Lazarus. So 15 friends. He chose 15 friends for himself. So I think, when you go to do your little friendship survey, try to see if you have maybe too many friends to handle, and that's why you're having a hard time. Or maybe not enough friends.
Could I add to that?
Yeah!
But he had 3 that were within the inner circle. So there's certain friends, and I know over the years, you guys probably can testify to this too, is that those 3 sometimes shift in and out of your seasons of life. So, but there's, typically 3, like my daughter going through high school, she didn't have a ton of friends. But I told her, I said, it's not about having a ton of friends.
Right.
It's about making a couple connections that are deep.
Well, that's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. I mean, you want to have your core friends. I'm just saying, don't make it a goal to just be friends with everybody and to make that, to be popular, because it really can't be about that, or else you're never going to get deep with like these girls are with each other. Really, I think that's the important thing. Okay, so is it impossible to be friends with someone who is either a lot older or a lot younger than you are? Let's talk about mentors and mentees, because I have so many dear friends who are older, and because this causes you to reflect on your own friendships. And I got to thinking about that. Why is that? What is it that I'm seeking that they are fulfilling? So who would like to speak about mentors and I think Susan and Marie, you were going to talk about something about the mentee-mentor relationship. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't think that a mentor necessarily has to be somebody older.
That's true.
There's so many awesome ladies in my life that, they have something that they do really well that I want to know about. So I think a lot of my friendships have started out kind of as mentor-mentee relationships because I want to get what you've got.
That's great. That's really true. I never really even thought about it that way. Anyone else have a friendship that started out as sort of a mentor-mentee situation? Anyone have an example to give?
I did when I was a new mom. I was 19 years old, and I wanted to nurse my baby, and everything was going wrong. And I called this older lady with a group that did that kind of support, and she was about 20 years older than me, maybe 25. She just came. I remember I was one of those talkers when I was on the phone with her for over an hour, and I can remember sitting there with the baby crying, and she listened, and she helped me, dove into that season of life with me, and then was there for me for 3 more kids and births and all of that. And I learned so much, and she'd listen and give me not too much at one time, just little things that made me want to know more, and never preached at me, but was just this solid, wonderful friend. But then you go into the different seasons, and I didn't talk to her for years as I've gone into different seasons, and her on her own. And now I called her last week, just felt like the Lord said, call Janet. And I called her, and she is so lonely. Her husband has Alzheimer's, and all of her friends, now she's in her 70s. So now she's in this different season, and now God's opened up ways that I know I can bless her back. She can't reach these cupboards she wants to reach because she doesn't have longer legs, so I want to go over and help her clean those cupboards out and just listen, because she wants to just talk about this new season of life. And I just think it's neat that we as women can walk with each other, and she held my hand, and now I was prompted to call when I know she's lonely. So she's been an incredible blessing. So.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I really think that part of the problem is sometimes friendships can get very one-sided. And so just the fact that you at one point had the wherewithal to pick up the phone and call her all those years ago, that means you can't sit there and bemoan your state. I don't have anybody who cares. I don't have anybody who knows what it feels like to be me right now. Well, they're probably out there, but you might need to just be proactive about it and pick up that phone and call them and say, hey, I'd like to be your friend. Will you be my friend? Will you meet me for coffee, tea, cocoa? No? How about a meal? Or something. Do you like monkeys? I mean, come on, pick up the phone. And I think that's really, she took that. You just can't be intimidated. If there's somebody who really speaks to you, somebody that you really think that you want to get to know, then pick up the phone and try to strike up that conversation, because that's how it got started. You can't just always expect. I mean, sometimes God brings people across your path, and but you kind of have to seize it when he brings those people. You can't just expect them to trip over you and notice you, right? So I think that's a very valid point. So thank you. That's a great story. And also listen to those promptings. I mean, how many times have you ignored those promptings of, call so-and-so, and you just don't pay any attention to that? Well, sometimes God is speaking to you and we are tuning him out. So don't tune him out, because look at how beautiful that is. It's sort of a give and take, and that's so important. Okay, how do you deal with conflicts with each other? Because they all seem to get along so famously, and they seem to be sisters up here, right? So have you ever fought? They're looking. We'll start.
I need one too. Make sure she gets the story right.
Well, all right then. Let's hear about it, shall we?
We have a couple of different instances where we have kind of gotten into.
Good.
Yeah.
We're all ears.
I'll tell mine, and then she can tell.
Oh,
hers.
I thought you were going to tell mine.
No, you can tell your own. Okay.
You're already fighting about what they're going to tell. We're off to a good start.
Okay. I would say this to start off, Mandy and I have a policy where if we have lots of policies in our friendship, I feel like
That's your fault.
that's my.
Did somebody?
I'm the adventurous one.
Do you have a binder that keeps record of all of the
Being
the
my
rules?
friend is high maintenance.
Stacey's rules of friendship. Okay. Was going to invite her over, but now I'm a little. She was on the budding friendships column, but now I got to rethink that.
No, we like to say that if one of us is offended by the other person, then we have said we will not let that go unspoken. We have to tell the other person. You can't just let it sit and fester and wonder on it. And even if, it's a little thing or a big thing, we have said we want to know. So please tell me if I say something that offends you. We've said that, and we do that. And my one instance of a thing that happened is Kevin and I always have a Christmas party at our house with some of our closest friends in small group, and
Did you steal her?
No, I gave it back to her, but I got
one thing that we do every year is a trivia question, and we hide trivia questions around our house, and they have to find them. Well, I walked in a room with Mandy and another couple that was at our party, and as soon as I came in the room, they all started laughing. And so immediately, I jumped to conclusions, and I thought they were laughing at my Christmas tree. And again, in my mind, I should have said, she is a good-intentioned friend. She would not do that to me, but I didn't. And I don't know what it was, but it set me off. And I went straight to Kevin and I said, let's get the show. I said this to him, let's get the show on the road because we got to get them out of here. Like, I was that upset.
Yeah, she's like, let's go. Come on.
Yeah. So
she sounded like that too.
Mandy could tell Yeah, I was like pretty upset. And so Mandy could tell immediately that I was upset, and she came up to me and she said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Oh, nothing." And she said, "No, seriously, I can tell something's wrong. What's wrong?" And I said, "I can't believe you were making fun of our tree." And she's like, "We were not making fun of your tree." She's like, we were cheating. We were looking at the trivia questions and you busted us." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But isn't that, see? And how many times do you just say, let's just hurry up and get them out of here and not confront the issue? We've got to confront the issue if we want to get to a resolution. So that's awesome. That's a great example.
And another quick one, since she aired her dirty laundry, I'll air mine. We were playing spades. Our husbands and Stacy and I play spades together, and Stacy and I are always partners. And we are very competitive, both of us. And so
I am not competitive.
I saw how fast you picked up that mic. And so we decided that we were playing spades, and we always lose, Stacy and I always lose. And we were on this winning streak, like 3 games we won in a row. So we were like, sweet. And so then we were playing, and then all of a sudden Stacy plays the dumbest card.
This will reveal the competitor.
And she plays this queen, and I was like, yeah, I hate to say it, but I totally went off on her. Like, totally went off. How in the world could you play that queen? Are you kidding me? That's the dumbest card to play, la, 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 and on and on and on. And so she just sat there, and she just looked at me. Our husbands were like, ooh. Totally didn't finish the game, went to bed with that in the air. And then the next morning, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know that was wrong. I was out of place. Completely stupid to get that upset over a queen. But, so, what?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
Uh-oh. The infamous nothing. You know there's something. Nothing.
Oh, yeah. And so, so we dealt with it. You know, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? It was completely out of line. And she goes, I just have one question for you. She goes, who won that fight? So that was after everything was passed, and we were all good, and we laughed. And so she's just as competitive as I am.
Well, I think the rule for the two of you is don't play games together. Trivial Pursuit, cards. I think maybe that might be, yeah, write that in your binder, Stacy. If you want to be Stacy's friend, do not engage in games with Stacy. That's awesome. Okay, I know you two have a story because they've been traveling together, so you know there has to be a story.
We have so many stories. She just gave us another story. We did have another. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the most recent one.
Oh, okay.
It actually happened yesterday, around 4 or 5. And it was one of the worst ones that we've had yet.
Oh.
It really was. And I thought, oh, that's just really weird. You know?
We needed a story, obviously, so God just wanted
and here
to...
we are on a panel of friends, you know, within 24 hours. So it was kind of timely that God gave us the life application part of,
Oh, good.
you know. But anyway, we had a misunderstanding, and it was in front of other people, which made it even worse, because when you have a misunderstanding and your defense mechanism goes up instantly, and then your flesh is evident, and that's what had occurred on both of our parts. I'm not going to speak on your behalf, but I guess I should be speaking on mine. So I was extremely defensive, and my comments back, instead of diffusing the situation, I inflamed it.
You are Italian.
I am. But I can't use that as an excuse.
I know, but
it's a
I
tough
understand
one. Yeah.
sometimes it just comes out and you don't mean it.
I know.
Because I'm Italian.
That's true. That is true. Well, she's Italian too, so then you know.
Oh, no!
You mean I say more? I mean, so anyway, after everybody had left, I think I brought it up. Did I bring it up?
No, I did.
No, you did. I was testing her to see what she was saying.
I think I'm going to scoot over.
My hands are starting to fly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went to her and I said, hey, about that conversation, and her immediate word to me was, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because we had to clear the air, and it was late last night too. Like, it was very late. It was a very long day, and it was late, and we were tired. So you take all of those things into consideration, and then your flesh takes over, which your mind knows better. But so we tried to clear the air as best as we could last night. But first thing this morning, when we had time alone, we brought it back up just to make sure that things were good and that we completely understood each other. But that confrontation it's not that it's not going to happen. It's how do you deal with it? It's burying it can kill a friendship, but bringing it to light and discussing it, because we're all human. I mean, it happens. Especially if you're married, you know what confrontation is like. It's part of our humanness. But that's also that next layer that takes you to deeper friendships, is being able to just get it out in the open and discuss it and resolve it. So, and not being afraid to say that you're sorry, right? It's hard. It's not easy.
And we realized that we totally misunderstood each other. We were on the total, have you ever had that? You're on the total different page. You're like, what? No, you thought, no, I didn't. You said, it was amazing how far apart we really were in that misunderstanding, but that's why I said trust. And I've got the personality that doesn't like conflict. I just want to just run away from it. But I'm really starting to learn that if I just run after it, run to it, oh my gosh, that would have fumed and grown. But this way I found out there wasn't even any basis for it. It was amazing. And then the air was so clear and wonderful, and we have so much fun together, and I don't want anything to ruin that. And plus, when you're working together, like some of you are maybe side by side with something where you're really pushing forward for something good, that you're working together, and we have that where we work, and we don't want anything to hinder that either. We want to run, and we don't want anything to, trip us up. And so we typically that's how our friendship has been, that we've always joined together, and that's another suggestion on finding friends. Find something that really means something and do it together. That's how we've deepened this. And it also gives us the energy to work on this, because we don't want anything to stop that forward motion. It's so exciting what we get to be part of. And so we want to work on our friendship so that the wheels are always rolling. So it worked well. But we thought the day before this, and then today we had to sit with our notes and talk about conflict. It was perfect timing.
And with that particular situation, I think we cleared the air for the most part the night before. But so that, I don't know about you, but I didn't go to bed heavy-hearted, because I know that we touched base. But then to go back and to make sure there was nothing else there that needed to be resolved was important, so that we can move forward.
Wow, that's awesome, isn't it? Because it really is a great model example of how you just have to confront, you have to walk in love, you have to check in and make sure, did I misunderstand that? And really clear the air. And a lot of times we're not willing to do that. We're just wanting to stay. Dave Ramsey has a quote about wanting to stay in your dirty diaper like a toddler, because sorry, Dave Ramsey, I picked the one quote that is not really all that appealing, but because it's your mess and you want to hang on to it, and it's comfortable and it's warm, and right? And so sorry, was I offensive? I'm sorry. It's Dave Ramsey's quote. I'm just quoting. Don't shoot the messenger. But I think sometimes you do. You want to stay in a mess, because it's easier to stay in a mess than have to get changed. Just saying. That's good. Sorry. All right, we'll move on. Whew, tough crowd. What if you become acquainted with someone? Because some of you are probably going to put on your budding friendships, you're going to make a list of a few people. And sometimes you're going to get shot down, like poor Sheldon, he kept getting shot down. And you want to be acquainted with someone. You want to get to know someone, but you find them to be so overextended, and they just don't seem to want to make time for you. And maybe it's not because they are overextended with other friends, but maybe they have just different priorities, and friendships just aren't their priority. What do you do to encourage a friend who just, or maybe somebody you want to become your friend, who doesn't really take that step to meet you halfway? Anybody have something for that?
I do.
Good.
There was this one lady a couple years ago, and I would see her around, and she had it all together in my eyes, and I was like, you are so cool, I just want to be your friend. and so I came up to her and I said, I would like to be your friend. And she said, well, in God's timing. And I was like, is there something wrong with me? And she's like, no, just in God's timing, God will work it out. If we're supposed to be closer, then God will work that out. So this was one of like my first Christian friendships where she was really modeling for me, what it is to like pray about something. So I prayed, okay, God, if it's your will, bring us closer together. And now she's one of my closest friends. So it's very cool. It wasn't you. But.
I know it wasn't me.
It wasn't Marie. Oh, it wasn't you. It wasn't Marie. It's another one. That's awesome. And you know what? I did do some reading, and just to sort of piggyback on how important prayer is in a friendship. That is a really good point. And even with the conflicts, a lot of there's a really great book, and I listed it at the bottom of your survey. But they talked about how when you do see your friend do something that is really questionable, and you want to be able to confront her about that, whether it's a conflict that you're having or just a sin that you find your friend involved in, but you just don't know you got to pray about it. You can't just in the moment confront, because if you do, you're going to mess it up. And you really need to pray ahead of time. So I did get that little tidbit, and because sometimes it's nice to be reminded just how important prayer is. You really need to think precisely what you're going to say before. So it's almost probably good, maybe, in that moment that you had a conflict, that you went home and you allowed God to work on you, Mandy, before apologizing, because then it sounds way more sincere, it said, when you have really thought about how to approach your friend in a conflict, than or if you find something wrong with what your friend is doing. It's much more real and sincere and this was really key, if you encounter as much pain in delivering the news as your friend is going to feel in receiving it. And that the only way you can get there is through that prayer, because you're choosing your words so carefully that it pains you to even have to bring it up or say it. And so I found that to be really helpful when I was reading about that. So that's something to think about. And it could even be when choosing a friend. Really pray about that. I like that. And because, again, Jesus chose carefully. Maybe we need to do the same. That's good. Is it okay? Oh, no, what's the other one? Sorry. Oh, when a friend is particularly clingy or needy, like that needy complainer friend. And, we kind of chuckle, but they're out there, and we are needy and complaining sometimes as well. So I'm not trying to just say, they, because it's all of us. But how do you handle that? Especially if you've had a day like you had yesterday. If your needy complainer friend called after that, at the end of that day, what do you do?
Not answer.
Caller ID is invented for a reason. Well, and that's a very good point. And why would you? I mean, I think we can assume why you would say that, but
I think there's nothing wrong with healthy boundaries. Mm-hmm. You have to do that. I think your family takes priority over friendships, and sometimes those clingy friends can really even start to become divisive, and that's the right answer. I'm not saying that's what I do. I even put the right answer is to set boundaries. What I do is probably avoid them. So I think even there's a way to even teach them in a loving way what boundaries look like, and you can even say to them, and I'm getting better at maybe being able to lovingly tell someone, listen, please don't call between the hours of this and this. If you need me or you need to talk to me, the best time to reach me is after my kids go to bed at night. Then I can truly sit and I can listen to you. But before that, I won't be a good listener. I'm sorry. So.
Wow. So just because it's if your friend has sort of an emergency, I think our first instinct is to race to help that friend, even if it costs us something that we're involved in or doing, right? And
You have
we
to
can't-
tell yourself their emergencies are not your emergencies.
even though you are a good friend. You know, in my reading, I was reminded that when Mary and Martha called Jesus to say, "You must come, Lazarus is dying, you must come," he, actually, I wonder, had he already passed away? I'm almost thinking that he already died. And he waited several days, and then he came. And I got to thinking about that. Why would he do that? Why would he wait when they really needed him? And the answer, I think, is because it really would show his glory when he was able to revive him from the dead, because he clearly was gone for that many days. Lazarus was dead for that many days. So then when he got there and told him, "Rise up," wow, the glory of God could be displayed there. Where if he went immediately, they might have thought Lazarus was really just sleeping. But they knew better, and so that really showed his glory. So sometimes you don't have to race to bail out your friends, but you can pray for them in the meantime until it's time for you to be able to be really focused on them. But it also gives you a little bit of time to think about properly how you can help them and walk them through it. And you're right, in the middle of making dinner is not the time to be focusing on their needs. So don't kick yourself or make yourself feel guilty when you're not necessarily available all the time, and do be discerning. If a number pops up on the caller ID, kind of think about it. Is now the best time for me to take this phone call? Knowing probably what might be on the other end of that. Okay. Normally we only get through like 6 questions, so I'm like, oh, okay. Anyone have anything to add?
Well, I do, with the long or winded friend. And I loved your comment about making a time when it does work. Because some just do. I mean, my sisters are some of my best friends, but they can really talk, and I love that. But I like it. This is on YouTube. Oh, okay. They're wonderful when they talk to me. I love it. I do. But I'm the oldest sister, so I have 3 younger sisters, and I love to keep that relationship, but I do have a really busy life. So I don't know how many of you have a headset that you can just put into your cell phone. I bought a Radio Shack one and paid $10 a month for 12 months back when it was really expensive. 20 years ago, I'll bet. Because I wanted to develop friendships, but I didn't always have time to go have tea in person. But you know the talking is great. Well, guess what? We also have the daily tasks around our house that I could be talking while I'm doing laundry or cleaning the basement or cleaning out a cupboard or whatever, dishes. And so that was the greatest gift. It really helped me to foster these friendships, not only with my sisters, but with others like Julie, and put my headset on. Now I do it with a $10 one that plugs into my cell phone, and I have 2 hands. And I can get things done. Sometimes my friendship conversations, it'll be a wonderful half hour, an hour talk, and I'll say, "Who did all that laundry?" "Oh my gosh, I did that!" It's amazing that we have technology where it used to be, I think, that women had each other because we all were in the same village and we could wash in the creek together. But we don't do that anymore. We're all in our own homes or our cars or whatever. And I love that we can stay connected this way now with our phone. And sometimes they do have to talk a while before you can find the root of a problem. Sometimes we do need to just settle down and talk, but being productive and serving my family and my home, oh my gosh, I feel great. I both accomplished this bonding relational time and this chore time, which is incredible. So the headset stuff, don't ever hold the phone like that. You have headsets now. It's awesome. And one more thing on that. Can I do one more thing?
Yeah.
Is that we found that like when there is conflict or struggles, I've had a lot of friendships that had struggles in them, that I would write a letter or an email and send it to myself. Because I realized that my initial struggles pour out, and you always think you're writing so deep when you're doing that, don't you? Like, oh, that sounds great. And I'm so glad I don't send those. Because, and the emails and writing never, and texting never, you don't get the heart behind it. We're finding in our friendship even that it just has to be eye to eye sometimes, and you can see the face and the expression. So that was just one other thought on.
No,
on
and that's
that.
really a very good point, because how many have become texters in replacement of a lot of eye to eye? And I feel so bad about that.
Facebook messaging.
Where I text you, and if you're not a texter, you don't really ever hear from me. Valerie, where are you? Sorry, Valerie. And it's unfortunate, because I feel like that's become my go-to thing, because I want them to know I love them. So I send them a quick text, but I should be much more intentional about picking up the phone than I do, or than I am, I should say. So that's a very valid point. You really need to structure in some face-to-face time with your friends. I was reading you look like you're grabbing.
Oh, no, I was just, do you, go ahead, or
No,
I can
Well,
share.
I was going to close, but we don't
All
have
right,
to close.
excessive talker. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to cut me off.
No, I'm just kidding, Mary. One thing that Stacy is really good at doing for our friendship is she knows what I like, and she sees things. If she'll see little things at the store that are on sale or that maybe remind her of me, she'll pick them up and give them to me. For years, every holiday, she gets me Peeps, because I love Peeps. So she just gave me my Easter Peeps recently. But she's very good at doing that and just saying, hey, that reminds me of Mandy, you know, a bracelet here, Peeps there. Very intentional in, showing that, hey, I appreciate your friendship. I accept you regardless of, who you are or what you look like or what your house looks like. But just even little things like Peeps, they're $1. And they just show that, hey, she was thinking about me when she was at the store, and so I do appreciate that. Stacy's very good at doing that. So just being intentional in showing to your friend that, that you accept them and that you love them.
Yeah, and a card once in a while wouldn't hurt. I mean, I almost feel like the poor postal service is going to go out of business because we email and text so much that we no longer send cards anymore. And you can get them like 2 for $1 at the dollar store, and, they're fine. And it's just about what you say, right? And I think that we need to start doing that more. So everyone, when you go home tonight, write a card to one of your friends you haven't written to in a while. That's your homework. You were going to say something, Julie.
Well, I was just going to comment on, did you notice they're such close friends that they even have the same haircut? Did you notice that?
Truly.
Don't forget who had it first.
Yeah. There's that competitive nature.
Mandy, I did read in this book, Toxic Friends, that 70% of women there were 200 women studied, admitted to power struggles within their friendships.
Oh.
I wonder where you would have fallen in the 200. No, just talking. Oh, she's playing. I'm just talking about the competitive nature. I'm sorry. No, anyway.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
70%.
70%.
That's a lot.
Power struggle.
That's a lot.
So we need to have
people.
conversations with our friends a little more often.
Yeah.
What would they say would be a power struggle?
Well,
I don't know. It was just a quote. I didn't know.
Okay.
could you expound on that?
Because I was
Mary?
just trying to think if we have any of those, but
80% of women, it was a list of quotes. 80% of the women regretted a breakup with a friend. 65% said they'd remain friends with a woman who is difficult on some level. 80% of women said they are competitive. Oh, I should have said that one instead. Are competitive with their female friends. 90%, now this one was good. 90% of women said that their sense of self is tied into their friendships with other women. I always thought, women identify themselves based on, if they are married or single. You know what I mean? Like men identified themselves based on their relationship with a man, right? I don't know, maybe I erroneously thought that, but they really probably identify themselves based on how other women see them. Interesting. So it was just a list of quotes, so I'm sorry, I'm not an expert, I just tried to read up a little bit. But anyway, so anyone else have anything to add about friendship? I was going to have you each go through, just to speak one last time, what do you appreciate about your friend that's sitting next to you? Just last, and we don't have to start here. Wasn't it your idea? Whose idea was it? Oh, it was Julie's idea, so you start.
Well, the reason I do this is because it's just always been there for me with her. You know how you look for friend? I think humor has got to be a key element in a really good friendship. Like her and I, we've watched all the same stupid movies. So like we can throw a line out there and the other one finishes it. We finish each other's sentences a lot. And even songs, you know how like you say the lyrics, although she's a little off on that one lately. And she's the musician, that's right.
Oh, that's funny. That's the irony of it all.
That's the irony, yeah. Well, I think it's just a different genre, so. Anyway, what was I saying?
What do you appreciate about her? 'Cause,
That's
you know,
right. What I appreciate about her
Turn it
most
to a
is
positive.
actually, you know how you're always looking for something in someone that spurs you on to good things. And with Tia, and I know many of you in the room know this about Tia, I always, when I first met her, I always thought of the 1960s movie Disney, Pollyanna, where Pollyanna was, she just found a rainbow in every storm of, you know, no matter what was going on. Plus, she had a cheerful and just a radically optimistic spirit. And that's who Tia is. So like, we could be dealing with all kind of things, or something in her life, or something in my life, and she can just bring out that rainbow like instantly. And
That's awesome.
for me, I'm like a realist, and I'm the opposite. So she complements my thinking and challenges me in that way, and I appreciate that. So, oh, hi. You brought her? I'll let her tell you about this one.
Well,
What
about
is that?
5 o'clock, after a long, long day at our medical office, it's a crisis center, and a long day. And Julie, the thing I appreciate about her, she has the deepest heart for these women, instant love, and an ability to hear what the Lord is saying, not just her. She could be so tired. She could come in and have had the hugest weekend, and Monday morning we hit it with 7 patients. And she lets go of herself, and she just focuses on the need in front of her in a selfless way that inspires me to just keep going even when I'm tired. But about 5 o'clock hits, and she is so silly. I can go by my watch, I can be like, it must be 5, because she is just goosey silly. And she loves the movie Up, where the dog gets distracted, remember? And he's like doing something, and all of a sudden he says, squirrel! So this is our mascot at work, and he shows up in all different places. And you'll jump because there's this furry thing, but it's the humor. I love her sense of humor, and that she can run faster than me.
That is a very realistic thing. I can imagine in an office setting, just running into that, it would be a little challenging. Yeah, he just makes you jump. Okay, so who else would like to share what they find, what they appreciate in their friends? Sorry, I forgot what I asked.
Yeah, I will. I appreciate Mandy and the godly example that she sets, whether it's with her children or her husband or ministry that she's involved in. She challenges me to do that better and what it looks like. And also, I think she's very good at loving others and putting others first in simplistic ways that I would never think of, whether it's at a grocery store and she lets people go in front of her, or whether it's in a parking lot when we're shopping together and, you know, we want that first spot, but there's someone else and she would let them go and I wouldn't. And
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
you never give up that.
No,
spot.
never give it up.
I've gotten better though. I mean, she's really modeled that and showed those examples of serving others and making meals for a family, and she'll tell me, the Lord has laid this on my heart and this is what I'm really striving to do. And when she says it, I'm like, ooh, I feel like the Lord has now laid it on my heart. And so I appreciate that about her, because she pushes me and
That's
she
awesome.
strives me to be like that too.
That's great. Anyone else? Are you ready? No, you need to compose yourself.
Okay, I want to, what I appreciate about Susan is one of the things that I love is her creativeness. And she says I'm the crazy one, but I think that she's crazy too. I'm not a creative person at all. It gives me heart flutters. Feels like I'm going to have a heart attack for anything artistic, but Susan's brought that out of me, and that's something with our girls doing art projects. And when I come to your house and I see the colored stones and the different things that I think, wow, that's amazing. I just love that. And that's just the creative, but I also love Susan's heart. And she's one of the strongest women that I know, that with everything going on in life, and she's always looking to God. And that's something that I look up to, because sometimes when I'm in the stress of things, I want to call my friend, and I should be talking to God first. And so Susan's been that example, and she's even said things that I prayed about this, before we talked about it, and that it's just amazing. I think she's amazing. I love her. I'm going to cry.
Yay. Aw, that's precious. That's great. And are you ready, or should you compose yourself and let me?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I don't care if you see me cry. It's fine. It's on YouTube. Oh, it is on YouTube. Oh, well, that's all right.
They're so worried about YouTube. It's okay. We're real.
What I love about Marie is, like, she brings me out of myself. Like, at home, I live in a colorful world at home, but I don't normally let people into that. And so she kind of brings me out, and I do things with her that I never would do with anybody else. So
That's awesome. Cool. That's great when you find a friend like that who can inspire you. That's wonderful. All right, Mandy, you're up.
All right. Lots of things that I love about Stace. I love her organizational skills. She loves to come over and get my Tupperware cabinet and tell me that this is a mess, and so she organizes it. And absolutely, no, she's mine.
Not sharing her.
Yeah. So, and yeah, she's so funny. She's like, I don't know how you can find anything in here. Yeah. So, but I do appreciate that whenever I open my cabinet and nothing falls on me. That's nice.
Are you sure her binder doesn't hit you in the head?
No. She's not allowed to bring her binder to my house.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the way Stacy, she has some of the funniest sayings, and it totally makes me laugh. And things that I've never even thought of. And one of my favorites is that she's gonna. I hope you don't mind. Go ahead.
The fact that she knows, I think that's
okay.
so great.
Maybe I shouldn't. I didn't ask her. No, I didn't ask her ahead of time. I won't say it.
I don't mind, really.
Okay. No, I've like built it up, and they're not gonna laugh. I know.
Be careful. They didn't like the poopy diaper comment, so it better be good.
It has nothing to do with bodily function.
Tread lightly.
You just can't judge me after this.
See? It's all about the judgment.
No, but one of my funniest that she says is that she's gonna snap.
Go ahead.
I forget how it goes. Yeah. I'm gonna rip. She says this to her kids, and probably my kids too. But she said, "I'm gonna rip your arm off and beat you with it."
Rip your arm off.
No, wait. I'm gonna rip your arm off and beat you with the bloody end.
The bloody end. Ooh. So that you leave a mark.
There's some parenting classes that we're offering.
Yeah, the next Ladies and Lattes topic is on parenting. That's awesome, Julie. Thank you for that idea.
She won't be up on the panel. No, neither of us will be up here on the panel. Yeah. But
hilarious.
Some of the stuff she says, and then every time she could be like saying something, and she says that, and I laugh at some of the stuff she says is hilarious, and she's just like, "What are you laughing at?" Like, and she's like, "I say that all the time." Yeah. So I love that about Stace. She always makes me laugh, and we always have such a good time together. And I do love her heart for people and her heart for Jesus. And there's so many times when she has a burden on her heart that the Lord's placed, and someone that she's very good at just sharing her heart with people, sharing Jesus with people. She's very good at not caring what people think about that. And some of the things that she says, not like that previous statement, but we could be sitting in a...
Love Jesus or I'll rip your arm off.
Yeah, right. You better love Jesus or I'll beat you with the bloody end. No.
Watch out.
But some of the stuff that she says, she is so sincere in how she says it, and her heart is... I've lost him.
Well, I think technically you have to say 10 statements to make up for the one.
Well, see, they think it's funny too. But no, but her heart for people, and she can say some of the most confrontational things, but because she's so, like, she says it so loving, and she's so cute when she says it. Like, but it's like, if I were to say that, I would probably get beaten with my own bloody arm. You know, like, but I just think that her heart for people, and she wants to see them grow closer to the Lord. She wants to see them do what's right. She wants to see, and she's very, very sensitive to the Holy Spirit, and in talking with people and confronting them on whenever they do something wrong or whenever she says so. I do appreciate that about you, and it definitely makes me want to be like that.
Aw, that's precious. And I just love that. I love that it seems to me what they're basically saying is that their friends are real, and they are people that they can count on for sure. And when you've found a friend like that, you have found the world. And so it's a great segue to the one and only friend you really need, and that is Jesus. Back in Matthew, obviously when Jesus was around, a lawyer asked him, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law?" And Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment." So I tell you, if you really want to walk out of here having gained something that maybe you don't already have, it is become friends with Jesus first. It's the first and foremost important thing. And the second, Jesus said, the second is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And so I think that is vital. You can't fully love your friend until you have first loved Jesus, because it's because of Jesus' love back to you that you even have it to give to your friend. Because there are many times when I just don't have it in my own strength to give, and I just cry out to Jesus, and he fills me up so that I can give. And so I do believe that the only way you can show love to others is to first love Jesus. And so I really hope that if you want to learn a little more about what it means to become friends with Jesus, that you will not at all hesitate to come up here after this is over and talk to me or one of us about it, or to the friend who maybe brought you here. Because the reality of it is this, Jesus is alive inside of you if you want him to be, but there will also be a day where you will see him face to face, and you can picture him, and God is behind him. I believe, this is how I think about it, that God is standing behind him, and God is fully aware of all of your sins, and he knows everything that you have done. And Jesus turns to him when God is ready to maybe bring those up, and Jesus says, "Oh, Father," or maybe Dad. I don't know. What do you think Jesus would say? "Dad, no worries. This is my friend. And I've got this, and she's going to come and hang out here in heaven with us." And he's truly a friend if he is going to be that bridge for you. He died just for you. So I really want you to make him your friend first. And that really is how you will be able to foster fabulous friendships in your life, is if you put Jesus at the head. So I hope that you got something out of all of this. I hope that you'll come back. There's another Ladies and Lattes coming up in May. We usually do it every other month. And that is called Celebrating Womanhood. And I'll have to tell you, I ran through this PowerPoint in front of my husband, and he goes, "Oh," when he heard that one, he's like, "Celebrate womanhood?" Oh, like, I guess clearly he wouldn't want to come to that. But you all should want to come to that. All right, you had to be there. You have to know my husband. He's a cutie. Anyway, again, rough crowd. Woo! The point of this one is to be inspired by women in the community who are making a difference. And just as these women have really been a good example to us about friendships, there are going to be women up here who are going to be a good example to us about how we can serve outside in the community and show our love for Jesus in that way. So we hope that you will join us. And that's May 9th, Mother's Day weekend. So maybe bring your mom and celebrate her as the woman, the one of the women in your life. Okay, so I am going to call forward Jill Huffman, who is one of the members of our illustrious Ladies and Lattes team, and she's going to make a few announcements and pray over us. Okay, thank you so much for coming, and thank you to our panel.